Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, last week I asked students and families to share with me their experiences with student loans and college affordability. And I want to start by sharing one of those stories. It's from a young woman whose name is Rebecca from my home state of Washington. And when she was 18, Rebecca signed up for student loans so she could go to college. And her parents took out what are called PLUS loans to help their daughter afford it. Rebecca worked hard in college, graduated with her degree, but now she is facing a mountain of student debt. And that is preventing her and her partner from buying a house and starting a family. Not only that, Rebecca found out her parents have been taking money out of their retirement savings to pay off their PLUS loan. And they've even resorted to taking a lien out on their home to pay down the debt. Rebecca told me that when she enrolled in college, she was sure that getting a good education would pay off. But now, with all the overwhelming student debt, it feels like she signed her family up for financial ruin. Now, I hear stories like Rebecca's, and it is so clear that college costs and student debt are holding families back. I consider it to be one of my most important jobs as a senator to make sure that Washington state families have a seat at the table and a voice in our nation's capital. And on an issue as important as this, I'm going to make sure their voices are heard loud and clear here in this Congress. And I'm going to continue to work with my fellow Democrats on ways to make college more affordable. And I'm going to keep fighting to reduce the crushing burden of student debt for so many families in my home state of Washington and across the country. Mr. President, today, the yearly cost of tuition, room, and board at a public four-year institution is 5.5 times what it was in the early 80s. Now, there are many reasons why college has gotten more and more expensive, but the result has been the same. It has strained the budgets of middle-class families across the country, and in some cases, it prevents some students from even applying, and it forces many others to drop out before they ever earn a degree. With skyrocketing college costs, we are sending the message that college is reserved for the wealthiest few, not for middle-class families and those who want to get there. That is unacceptable. And on student debt, we've all heard the numbers. Overall, Americans hold more than $1.3 trillion in student loan debt. That is a huge number, and it's actually a little hard to wrap your head around. So let's try this. Every second that goes by, student debt in our country grows by nearly $3,000. That is every second. And behind those numbers are people who invested in themselves by furthering their education, but now are saddled with debt, preventing them from buying a home or even starting a small business or a family. A young man from Washington State named Alex told me his income barely covers his monthly expenses, let alone paying down his student loans. He said he feels financially stagnant because, and I quote, "I don't know if I'll ever overcome the crippling college debt." So, Mr. President, I'm glad the Democrats have a plan to help students and families who are in the red. When more students are able to further their education, it doesn't just help them. A highly educated workforce helps our economy grow from the middle out, not from the top down. And it strengthens the workforce we will need to compete and lead the world in the 21st century economy. That is why Democrats want to give students the chance they need to attend community college tuition-free. Now, of course, many students and families take out student loans to help them finance higher education, but some are locked in with a high interest rate. Today, you can find offers to refinance your mortgage at 3.5%. You can refinance your car loan for around 3.2%. But I've heard from so many borrowers who are paying an interest rate that's twice that amount, and some are paying even more. So Democrats want to make sure borrowers can refinance their student loans to today's lower rates. We also want to hold institutions of higher education accountable for providing a high-quality degree so students have confidence that the education that they receive and pay for will get them ahead. And Democrats want to increase investments in need-based aid like Pell Grants so they can keep up with the rising cost of college. Now, it's been just a week since I began asking students and families to submit their stories online to us. And I want to hear from many more because I know there are so many people out there who are struggling. But I must admit, I was taken aback by the constant theme that showed up in so many of their experiences that I've seen so far. In story after story, people said they felt hopeless. They feel buried under student debt, and they see no end in sight. It shouldn't have to be this way. Democrats are offering solutions, and I sincerely hope our Republican friends will join us. For me, this isn't just another issue. This is really personal. When I was young, my dad was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and within a few short years, he couldn't work any longer. And without warning, my own family had fallen on hard times. My brothers and sisters and I have 6 brothers and sisters, were all able to afford to go to college with the help of what we now call Pell Grants. And my mom was able to get the skills she needed to get a job through a worker training program at Lake Washington Vocational School. This country was there for us. They never turned their back on my family. And today, we can't turn our backs on the millions of families just like mine who need a path forward to pay back their student debt, who want to stay in school to finish their degree, even as the costs go up, who want to one day be able to save up so their kids can afford to pursue their dreams. It's time to make college more affordable and make sure students can graduate without the crushing burden of student debt. It's time for Democrats and Republicans to work together on solutions. And it's time to reaffirm that in our country, earning your degree will pay off for you, will pay off for your future and the future of this country. Thank you, Mr. President.